Hi again, here we are for some daily JavaScript, and I'd like to try and wrap up this flipping example here. I'll just refresh it, and you can see I've got these tiles that flip over, right? And there should be two of each color, okay? 6 pairs, okay? And so far, our thing just flips them back and forth, but what I want to do is I want to make a game. So, you know, if you find two matching ones, they'll stay open, and you won't be able to unflip them. Okay, so in order to make that happen, we're going to use a couple mechanisms here. I'm not going to say that this is the most robust or the best solution possible for this, but this will be a solution that works, and it will illustrate some JavaScript logic and using jQuery and some other features of JavaScript and the DOM, right? So let's get started. So here I am, and this example index number 4 is my file. And the first thing we need is we need a way to match up the tiles and know which tile it is what the names of the tiles are, so we can tell when two of them are the same tile or have the same picture, right? And right now, our tiles are built off of this structure. They're made of a div, and then there's an outer box, right? This div here, and then inside there's two divs, and I'm assigning a class to the back div, and that one has the picture. That class assigns a background color and an image to this, right? But when you're clicking, you're really clicking on the outer div box, and it's box that flips over. So we're kind of getting the logic off of box. You're flipping on this, and we could search inside and look for this, but I think what's easiest is if we assign to box some way that we can identify this as being, the particular, card or, alien name or whatever it is, right? So what I'm going to do is I want to assign to that element like a special attribute. And an attribute is one of these names here, like class is an attribute. And what I want to do is I'm going to give it a new attribute that'll be data name. And then you can put any name in there like Joe or Cindy, right? Right, something like that. And I'm going to assign this with JavaScript though, okay? And I'll assign one to each box, and I'll make it match the class name that we assign to the card. And you'll notice here when I inspect, you'll see that that this card has class alien number 9. So what I want to do is I want to add data name alien 9 to this box, and then this box will have its own name. So let's do that, right? So what we'll do is we'll do this. Down here I have this jQuery each function, and the each function is going through for every item that's named back, right? And it's going to assign it the class name of the item from the tile array here, right? So that's one of those class names that we have listed in this block of stuff there, right? So what I want to do is I want to find the parent of this. So this is back, right? And it has a parent element, and the parent is box, right? So if I go up one tag from back, I end up at box. And so we're going to use parent right here. And then you can assign any attribute with attr, right? So we'll say attribute, and what we'll do is we'll name it data name, and then we can give it a value. So the value I want to give it is the same value that we assign to back as a class name, okay? So there we go. So we'll say attribute data name, tile array, number or index I, and then that'll be one of the names that we generated randomly, right? So let me save that, and then we'll go back to our example here and refresh it. And now you can see that each one of the boxes here has the name. So these first two are alien 5, so I can see that they're going to match, right? So those are actually the same one. And then this one, alien 10, is this guy, and if I find the other alien 10, it's that one, I can click on it and, we can see that they match, right? Because the name is the same. Okay, so that gets us started. And we have, kind of the start to our logic here. So, so that'll get us started. I don't know how much I want to do in this video. It'll take us a little while to get through this, but maybe I'll do a little bit more here. Let me move this up. So all of our game logic is going to happen here, right? So now that we've got that worked out, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to know when you click on the first one and you click on the second one, because there's always going to be two. You're going to click one, then you're going to click the second one, and then we're going to check to see if those two match. Okay, so we need a way to remember when you've clicked on the first versus the second one. So I'm going to make a variable here called first pick. And I'll give it a default value of undefined. And then I'll make second pick. And I'll call it undefined, okay? So, if it's undefined, we know that you haven't chosen yet, okay? So, and then if you've chosen the first one, we can check and say, hey, if first pick is not undefined, then we know that you've clicked on the first one. So then we'll look at the second one and we'll say like, okay, well, let's assign that a value, right? So what I'm going to do here is this, right? Now, realize that, let's imagine how the game is going to work here, right? What you're going to do is you're going to click on your first choice. And then what we want to do is we don't want you to be able to click on the same one again, okay? We want you to click on another one. So if you click on the same one again, then nothing should happen, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to ask a question. We're going to say like, hey, if, if this dot hasClass, okay? So using this, jQuery's hasClass method, right? It could be any selector. We can ask if this selection has this class name. Okay, so if the item is flipped over already, then you've already selected that one. You can't select it again, right? You got to select a different one. If you select two that match, though, then we also don't want you to be able to click on those, right? So what I'm going to do later is I'm going to add a class called lock. So if these are flipped over, like, if I click on this first one here, you can see that it's got the class flip. And so, jQuery hasClass would say that, true, this has a flip class. So, and then we'll tell our script not to ignore this, right? And then if we've matched this one, like if I click on this one over here and they match, I'm going to add a class here called lock. And we could use that to style these a little bit differently to show that they're locked. And we can also use it in our JavaScript logic to test to see if they're locked or not, or if they've already been matched, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to add another, I haven't added the lock class yet, but I'm going to listen for it here or look for it, right? So what I'll do is I'll say this dot hasClass lock, right? So, this double bar means or. So we're using an if statement here, and I'm saying like, okay, if this element that you clicked on, the box that you clicked on, has the flip class, or it has the lock class, then we're going to do something here. And what I want to do is I just want to skip this whole function and not do any more. So if I put a return here, this ends the function right here, okay? So in other words, anything after return is not executed. If we don't have the flip class and we don't have the lock class, either one of these both of these are false, then we'll skip over this and we'll continue from here and do the rest of the code, right? So right now you can see that if I have the flip class, this says toggle class. We're going to change that later, right? But if I have the flip class, then we're going to return, and we're not going to toggle class. So if our code is working here, once we flip them over, we won't be able to unflip them at this stage, right? So we'll save that and we'll give it a test. So I'll refresh this. I'll flip over the first one, and when I click here, you see it doesn't flip again, right? This one I can flip, and then you can see they don't flip over, right? So so that gets us started. And maybe I'll just continue in another video, but this is like right where we want to start. There's our first bit of logic, right? And then we'll add the next stage here afterwards, right? I'll just do that in another video. It'll be a little easier. Okay, thanks for watching, and I hope that's useful there.